There is a pervasive lie that governs the modern world, a comforting falsehood you tell yourself when the sun sets on another wasted day. The lie is that you do not have enough time. You believe your ambitions are suffocated by the ticking clock, that if only you had 25 hours in a day, you would finally write that book, build that enterprise, or forge the body you desire. But time is the most democratic resource in existence. The beggar and the emperor are both granted the same amount each morning. If you are drowning in unfinished intentions, it is not because the clock is against you. It is because you have not decided what is important. You do not lack time. You lack standards. In the turbulent era of feudal Japan, the samurai did not speak of time management or productivity hacks. They spoke of the way, and the way demanded an absolute, unwavering adherence to a personal code. To live without a code was to be a leaf in the wind, blown about by circumstance, desire, and fear. The legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi wrote in his final treatise, the Dokodo, a simple yet devastating instruction: do not seek pleasure for its own sake. This was not a call to asceticism, but a warning against allowing fleeting impulses to dictate your actions. A man without standards seeks the easiest path at every juncture, and 1,000 easy choices inevitably lead to a difficult life. Consider the life of a modern man we shall call Elias, a man possessing intelligence and ambition, yet perpetually defeated by the trivial. Elias dreamed of creating work of lasting value, yet his days were a hemorrhage of reactive behaviors. He woke and immediately surrendered his attention to the demands of others through his digital devices, mistaking busyness for effectiveness. He felt constant anxiety, a low-level hum of panic that he was falling behind. Yet, when presented with a free hour, he squandered it on cheap entertainment, seeking sedation rather than creation. Elias believed he was a victim of a fast-paced world, convinced that someday things would slow down and he would finally begin his true work. He did not realize that the chaos was not outside of him, but within him, born from a complete absence of a governing philosophy. The difference between the warrior and the drifter is not the intensity of their desires, but the rigidity of their standards. A standard is not a goal. A goal is something you hope to achieve in the future, while a standard is an inflexible rule about who you are right now. The samurai carried two swords, the daisho, which were not merely weapons of war, but symbols of their soul and their authority to discern right from wrong. In a philosophical sense, the sword is an instrument of discrimination. Its purpose is to cut, to separate that which is vital from that which is superfluous. You need to cultivate an internal blade that ruthlessly severs the connection to anything that falls below your standard. Asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 1. The Burden of Choice, asterisk, asterisk. Elias's suffering stemmed from an excess of freedom. Every moment presented him with endless possibilities. He could work on his craft, or he could scroll through feeds, he could train his body, or he could seek comfort food. He could sit in contemplation, or he could drown the silence with noise. Because he had no established standards, every decision was a negotiation with his lowest impulses. The human mind, when left unchecked, will always gravitate toward the path of least resistance, seeking immediate dopamine over long-term fulfillment. Elias was exhausted, not from hard work, but from the constant cognitive load of deciding what to do next, a battle he usually lost to his baser instincts. This state of existence is what the Zen masters called monkey mind, a consciousness that jumps wildly from one branch of thought to another, never resting, never focusing. The antidote to the monkey mind is not more willpower, for willpower is a finite resource that depletes with every decision you make throughout the day. The antidote is a pre-decided standard that eliminates the need for choice altogether. When a samurai committed to asterisk, Bushido asterisk, the way of the warrior, he did not wake up and debate whether he would be courageous or honorable that day. The decision had already been made years ago. His identity was fixed, and his actions merely flowed from that identity with inevitable precision. Asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 2. The Sword of No Asterisk, asterisk. To regain control of his life, Elias had to stop trying to add more productivity and start practicing the art of elimination. He had to learn the profound power of the word no, not just to others, but primarily to himself. He realized that his yes had no value because it was given too freely to every distraction that knocked on his door. Miyamoto Musashi taught that in strategy, one must perceive that which cannot be seen with the eyes. Elias had to perceive the hidden cost of his small indulgences. 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there were not harmless breaks, but cracks in the foundation of his character. He began by establishing a single, non-negotiable standard. The first 2 hours of his day belonged to his highest priority before the world was allowed to intrude. It was agonizing at first. His mind, accustomed to the constant drip feed of novelty, rebelled with boredom, anxiety, and a desperate urge to check his messages. He had to sit with that discomfort, watching it like a sentinel watching an approaching enemy, refusing to break his rank. He was learning to use the internal sword to cut away the impulse to flee into distraction, recognizing that the pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret. Asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 3. The Dignity of Constraint, asterisk, asterisk. Over time, a strange paradox emerged in Elias's life. By restricting his options, he gained freedom. By binding himself to a rigid standard of conduct, he was liberated from the tyranny of his moods and circumstances. He no longer needed to feel motivated to do his work. He did it because it was what a person of his standard did, regardless of how he felt. This is the essence of the samurai concept of fudo shin, or immovable mind, a state of inner peace and equanimity that is not disturbed by external chaos or internal emotional storms. The immovable mind is built on the foundation of uncompromising standards that provide a center of gravity for the soul. The modern world seeks liberation through the removal of all constraints. Yet, true power is found in the constraints you voluntarily place upon yourself. A river without banks is merely a swamp. It needs boundaries to generate force and direction. Your standards are the banks of your life, channeling your energy toward a singular purpose instead of allowing it to dissipate into the surrounding soil. When you hold yourself to a high standard, you begin to walk with a different posture, carrying an internal dignity that comes from knowing you are the master of your own domain. Asterisk, asterisk, conclusion. Asterisk, asterisk. If you find yourself lamenting the shortness of the days, cease looking at the clock and look instead into a mirror. The time you need is already there, hidden beneath layers of weak commitments, half-hearted efforts, and the refusal to draw a hard line between what you want now and what you want most. Do not wait for the perfect circumstances to begin living with honor and focus, for the perfect circumstances will never arrive. Adopt the mindset of the warrior who knows that this day could be his last, and therefore it must be lived with absolute intent. Take up the internal sword, define your standards, and cut away everything that is not essential.